The fallacy of pleasure. There still remains our fourth good quality. This comprises propriety, moderation, decorum, restraint, and self-control. How can anything which conflicts with such a course of virtues possibly be advantageous? Yet the Cyrenaic followers of Aristippus and the philosophical school named after Annicaris used to interpret pleasure as the one and only good. Virtue, they held, is praiseworthy only to the extent that it produces pleasure. These doctrines are out of date nowadays, but Epicurus is in fashion, and the view which he strongly advocates is very much the same as theirs. And yet, if we are determined to maintain and stand up for what is right, these beliefs must be resisted by main force. Metrodorus too identifies advantage, and indeed a happy life in general, with good physical health and the firm expectation of its continuance. But such an interpretation of advantage, and what is being defined here as the supreme advantage, cannot escape clashing with what is right. Take wisdom, first of all. Where can a system like this possibly find room for such a quality? I suppose wisdom will be assigned the function of hunting up pleasures wherever they can be found. But what a depressing servitude for wisdom, the synonym of virtue! Slaving for pleasure. Its job, I suppose, will be to make an intelligent choice between one pleasure and another. But granted that this prospect has its superficial attractions, would not such a task be degrading in the extreme? And then, if people argue that pain is the supreme evil, I cannot see what role they can assign to that other cardinal virtue, fortitude, seeing that this means disregard for pains and troubles. It is true that Epicurus, in his observations concerning pain, frequently displays a respect for fortitude, but such sayings lack significance besides the fundamental question, what place can fortitude logically occupy in a system which identifies good with pleasure and evil with pain? The same applies to restraint and self-control. Reading Epicurus, one finds, scattered about his works, many references to these good qualities, but the stream is clogged, as the proverb goes. For instance, if he regards pleasure as the highest good, how can he recommend self-control, seeing that pleasure is served by the passions and self-control is their adversary? So when they come to the three virtues of wisdom, fortitude, and self-control, these Epicureans have to hedge, though they do it ingeniously enough. Wisdom finds a place in their system as the knowledge by which pleasures are procured and pains removed. For fortitude, too, they make some sort of a case as the quality which enables people to make light of death and to endure pain. They even bring in self-control, not very easily, one must admit, but as well as they can, by claiming that pleasure in its highest form amounts to the absence of pain and nothing more. However, the fourth cardinal virtue, justice, makes only a tottering appearance in their doctrine, or rather its condition is one of collapse. And so are all the other good qualities which are concerned with our daily lives and with the association between one human being and another. Integrity, generosity, and courtesy, these and friendship too, cannot exist if they are pursued not because they are desirable in themselves, but for the sake of pleasure and self-interest. Let me recapitulate briefly. First, I tried to show that nothing opposed to right can be advantageous. Then I pointed out that this wrongful category includes all sensual indulgence. That is why, in my opinion, Calophon and Dinomachus deserve particular censure for their attempt to solve this problem by coupling pleasure with right, which is like coupling a man with an animal. The highest good, being of necessity homogeneous, cannot be a composite mixture of contradictory qualities. But I have dealt with the highest good elsewhere, and it is a large subject. So back to our present discussion. I have treated in some detail the problem of deciding what to do when right and apparent advantage conflict. A place among apparent advantages may certainly be claimed for sensual pleasures, yet with right they have nothing in common. To pleasures of such a kind, one concession only can be made. Perhaps they add a certain spice to life, but they certainly provide no real advantage. Here then, Marcus, my son, is your father's present to you. Personally, I consider it a substantial one, but that will depend on the use you make of it. I should like you to think of these three parts of my work as three welcome guests among your notes of Chrysippus's lectures. I should certainly have come to Athens myself, if my country had not unmistakably called me back when I was already on my way. If I had come, I am sure you would, from time to time, have given me your ear, Instead, I have to be represented by my voice in the shape of these volumes. So do please give them as much time as you can, which means as much as you want to. And when I have heard that you are enjoying your study of these subjects, I hope we shall soon be discussing them together. Meanwhile, we are separated, and our talks must be at a distance. Goodbye then, my son. My affection for you is very great, as you know. And it will be a good deal stronger still if this sort of advice and instruction meets with your favor.